The great chamber of the galactic council stretched for miles in every direction. Floating platforms held delegates from 847 species, some breath methane, others existed as clouds of intelligent gas. A few were so ancient that they had forgotten what their original bodies looked like. All of them had gathered for one purpose. They called it the human question. Ambassador stood alone on the smallest platform in the chamber. She was 43 years old. Her black hair was tied back in a simple knot. Her suit was plain and dark. Earth could not afford the flowing robes and glittering medals that other ambassadors wore. Earth had only joined the galactic community 6 months ago. They were the species of the weakest, and today the galaxy would decide their fate. The motion before the council is simple, announced the speaker. It was a creature called. Its body was tall and thin, covered in silver scales that caught the light. Its eyes held no warmth. Species known as humans possess unique biological traits. They are strong beyond their size. They adapt to any environment. They heal from wounds that would kill other species. They breed rapidly and reach maturity quickly. They require minimal resources to survive. Felt her stomach tighten. She knew where this was going. The Dominion proposes that humanity be classified as a harvest resource. The speaker continued. Their population will be distributed among council species for labor purposes. This is efficient. This is logical. This serves the greater good of galactic civilization. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval. Clicking and humming and strange vibrations filled the air. Looked around at the hundreds of alien faces. She searched for sympathy. She found none. Ambassador, the speaker said, you may address the council. Stepped forward. Her platform floated toward the center of the chamber. She felt very small, very alone. Honored delegates, she began. Her voice was steady. She would not show fear. What you propose is slavery. My species has a long and painful history with this practice. We fought wars to end it. Millions died. We learned that no thinking creature should ever be owned by another. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. Your internal conflicts are not our concern, the speaker replied. The council recognizes only efficiency and progress. Humans are suited for labor. This is simply their purpose in the galactic order. We are people. Said we have families, dreams. We create art and music. We love and grieve. We are not tools to be used. All species believe themselves special, said a delegate from the collective. It was a being made of living crystal. Its voice like breaking glass. We thought the same before we achieved enlightenment. You will adapt to your role in time. Looked at the delegate with disgust. You were enslaved once, and now you would do the same to others. We learned our place. The crystal being replied, so will you. The speaker raised a limb for silence. The council will now vote all in favor of classifying humanity as a harvest resource. Lights began to appear across the chamber. Red lights, one after another. Platform after platform lit up with approval. Watch the count climb. 100 species in favor, then 200, 300. The number kept rising. Her heart sank deeper with each light that flickered too. Life, 500, 600, 700. Not a single light remained dark. Not one species voted against the motion. 847 in favor, the speaker announced. 0 against. The motion passes unanimously. The chamber filled with satisfied sounds. Deals were already being discussed which species would receive the largest share of human workers, how the distribution would be organized, what prices would be fair. They talked about her people like they were cattle. Ambassador, the speaker said, you will return to Earth and prepare your population for integration, harvest. Ships will arrive in 30 standard days. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. Your primitive weapons pose no threat to Council. Technology, cooperation will make this transition easier for your kind. Stood perfectly still, her face showed nothing, but inside her mind something cold and hard was forming. It was not despair, it was not fear, it was fury. I understand, she said quietly. Good. You may depart. Turned her platform and floated toward the exit. As she passed the rows of alien delegates, she looked at each one. She memorized their faces, their species markings, their platform numbers. Every single one of them had voted to enslave her people. Every single one. A delegate from the syndicate laughed as she passed. Do not look so sad, little human. Your children will serve my household. I will treat them well as one treats a favored pet. Stopped, she turned to face them. It was a large creature, bloated and covered purple flesh. Its mouth was wide and filled with flat teeth. I want you to remember this moment, said softly. Remember that you laughed. The maid, a sound of confusion. Is that a threat from a harvest species? It is a promise. Continued toward the exit. Behind her the laughed again and turned to share the joke with its neighbors. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks, spent every hour of it in her small cabin writing. She wrote down every name she could remember, every species, every face that had shown cruelty or amusement at humanity's fate. When her ship finally entered Earth's orbit, she transmitted a single message to the United Nations Emergency Council. They voted yes, all of them. Every single species chose to enslave us. The response came immediately. What do we do? Looked out her window at the blue and green planet below, her home, her people, 8 billion souls that the galaxy had just condemned to chains. We have 30 days, she said. We use them well, and we never forget what happened in that chamber. We never forgive. She paused, her hand resting on the cold glass. They think we are weak because we are new. They think we will break because we are small. They have made an error, the worst error in galactic history. And what error is that? Ambassador. Reflection stared back at her. Her eyes were hard, her jaw was set. They made us angry, she said. They made all of us angry together at the same time, at the same enemy. She turned away from the window. Call an emergency session. Every nation, every leader, every military commander. We have work to do. The stars outside seemed cold and distant, but somewhere out there, 847 species were celebrating their easy victory over the primitive humans. They had no idea what they had awakened. The first harvest ships arrived on a Tuesday morning. They came without warning. One moment the sky was clear and blue. The next moment it was filled with metal. Maria Santos was walking her daughter to school when the shadow fell over their neighborhood inn. She looked up and saw a ship the size of a mountain blocking out the sun. For a moment she could not move, could not think. Then the screaming started. A pulse of energy swept across the city. Every car stopped, every phone went dark, every Light flickered and died. The ship had killed all human technology in an instant. Ramps descended from the vessel. Creatures began marching out. They wore armor that gleamed like oil. They carried weapons that hummed with strange energy. They moved through the streets with the casual ease of farmers collecting crops. Maria grabbed her daughter and ran. All across Earth the same scene repeated. Ships appeared over every major city. New York, Beijing, Mumbai, Cairo, London, Tokyo. The suppression fields disabled everything humans relied upon. No communications, no vehicles, no weapons. The aliens were prepared. They had done this many times before. In the first hour, 10 million people were taken. Men and women and children were herded into massive containers. Families were separated without care. Those who resisted were stunned unconscious and dragged away. Those who fought back were killed. As examples, Maria hid with her daughter in a basement for 3 days. They survived on rainwater and stale bread. On the 4th day, a scanner found them. The alien that pulled them from their hiding spot had 6 arms and a face like a melted mask. It did not speak. It simply pointed toward the processing line and waited. Maria's daughter was taken to a different container. Maria screamed and fought. A weapon touched her neck and the world went black. She woke up in a cell on a ship heading away from Earth. Through a small window, she could see her planet growing smaller, blue and green and beautiful. Home gone, the slavers broadcast everything. This was standard practice. Letting the galaxy see the harvest helped establish order. It reminded other species of their place. It showed that the Council's will was absolute. Millions of screens across the galaxy displayed the capture of Earth. Auctions were scheduled before the ships even left orbit. Buyers submitted their request. Strong males for mining, females for household service, children for training. The galaxy watched humans weep and beg and fight. The galaxy saw families torn apart. The galaxy observed every moment of suffering. And on Earth, in the parts not yet harvested, every surviving human watched too. They watched and they burned each image into their memory. President James Walker sat in a bunker deep beneath Colorado. Around him gathered the remaining leaders who had escaped capture. Their faces were pale. Their eyes were red from tears they refused to shed. On the screen before them, a slaver was explaining proper handling techniques for human livestock. It discussed feeding schedules, work capacity, breeding programs. Turn it off, someone whispered. No, Walker said. His voice was rough as broken stone. We watch all of it every second. We owe them that much. Ambassador entered the room. She had aged 10 years in the past month, but her eyes were alive with purpose. The aliens made a mistake, she said. Several mistakes. Walker looked at her. What mistakes? They have ships that block our technology, weapons we cannot match. They have taken a quarter of our population already. Walked to the table and placed a piece of metal on its surface. It was small and irregular, burned around the edges. This is a fragment from a suppression field generator, she said. We recovered it from a crashed harvester drone in Argentina. So our scientists have been studying it day and night. They have not slept. They have not eaten. They have only worked. She picked up the fragment and held it to the light. Human minds work differently than other species. We make connections they do not see. We solve problems they consider impossible. The aliens know humans are physically adaptable. They do not know that our greatest adaptation is here. She tapped her temple. What did you find? Walker asked. Everything, said. We found everything. Their technology is advanced, yes, but it follows rules. Patterns, we have learned those. Patterns we are already building. Counters, a general stood up from his chair. Building with what? They destroyed our factories, our power grid. Everything. Not everything. Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. They found our cities, our obvious installations. They did not find what we hid. They did not think to look. She activated a small device. Holographic map appeared above the table. It showed Earth, but with dozens of glowing points beneath the surface, beneath the oceans, inside mountains, emergency bunkers, research facilities, manufacturing centers, all built in secret over the past 30 days, all shielded from their scanners by technology we invented using their own designs. Walker stared at the map. You knew this would happen. You prepared. I knew we would lose the first battle. Said, I knew they would take millions of our people. I knew we could not stop them. Her jaw tightened. But I also knew that losing a battle is not losing a war. She zoomed the map to show a massive installation beneath the Pacific Ocean. This is Project Fury. 300,000 engineers, scientists, soldiers, all working toward one goal: taking back our people, making the galaxy pay for what it has done. How long? Walker asked. 5 years, maybe less. Human innovation works fast when properly motivated. She looked at the screen where the slaver was still lecturing about human management, and we have never been more motivated. Maria Santos sat in her cell on the transport ship. Around her, other humans wept quietly. Some prayed, some had given up entirely, staring at nothing with empty eyes. But Maria was doing something different. She was watching, listening, learning. The guards spoke freely around the humans. They did not believe the slaves could understand their language, but Maria had always been good with languages. She was starting to pick up words, phrases, patterns. She noticed that the guards changed shifts at regular intervals. She noticed which doors had heavy security and which did not. She noticed the small communications devices they carried. Maria had been a factory worker before the harvest. She understood machines, systems, weaknesses. She began to memorize everything, and in the darkness of her cell, she began to plan across the galaxy on 1,000 ships in 100 worlds. Other humans were doing the same thing, watching, learning, waiting. They passed information through glances and whispers. They built networks the aliens never suspected. The harvest continued, but seeds were being planted. Seeds of fury. 5 years passed in silence. The galaxy forgot about Earth. The harvest was complete. 3 billion humans have been taken and distributed among the council species. The remaining population was monitored by automated drones and considered no threat. They were primitives now, scratching out survival on a broken world. The slave market stabilized. Humans proved to be exactly as useful as predicted. They worked in mines too deep and hot for other species. They served in households where their strange loyalty made them valued servants. They fought in arenas for entertainment. They bred in facilities designed to increase their number. The speaker received reports each quarter. Human productivity exceeded expectations. Mortality rates were acceptable. Resistance incidents had dropped to near zero after the first year. Everything was going according to plan. But beneath the surface of Earth, something was growing. Project Fury had expanded beyond anything had originally imagined. What started as a desperate research program had become a complete civilization hidden from alien eyes. Underground cities stretched for hundreds of miles, factories that never saw sunlight produced weapons that had never existed before. Human scientists had not just alien technology, they had improved it, changed it, made it something new. Dr. Samuel Wright stood before a weapon prototype that hummed with contained energy. He was 70 years old now. His hair had gone white. His hands shook slightly from exhaustion. But his mind was sharper than ever. We call it the eraser cannon, he explained to the gathered military commanders. It does not destroy matter. It removes it from existence. Nothing remains, no debris, no radiation, no evidence. The target simply ceases to be. General Tour studied the weapon. How large a target? We have tested it on asteroids. The largest was 3,000 km in diameter. It vanished in 4 seconds. Tour was silent for a long moment. And planets would take longer, perhaps 2 seconds. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. They were not building weapons for defense. They were building weapons for extinction. Admiral entered the room. She no longer used her ambassador title. That life belonged to a different woman, a woman who still believed in diplomacy, in reason, in mercy. That woman had died in the council chamber 5 years ago. Status report, she said. The fleet is ready. Tours replied. 3,000 warships, each one equipped with technology the galaxy has never seen. Cloaking systems that make our ships invisible to every known sensor. Engines that cross the galaxy days instead of months. Weapons that I know. The weapons interrupted. What about our people? The infiltration networks are in place. We have agents on 212 worlds. They have mapped every slave facility, every auction house, every buyer's home. When we strike, they will coordinate from within. Nodded slowly, she walked to a massive screen that showed a map of the galaxy. 847 lights marked the of Council species. 847 civilizations that had voted to enslave humanity. We begin with the, she said. They proposed the motion. They spoke the words that condemned us. They will be first. And after the face was stone, we follow the list. Every species that voted yes. Every world that bought our people. Every being that treated a human as property. That is hundreds of species. Billions of lives. Yes, Admiral, some may call this genocide. Turned to face the general. Her eyes were cold as space itself. They took my sister, my nephew, my mother. They sold them like animals. My nephew was 5 years old. Her voice did not waver. The galaxy decided that humanity did not deserve to exist as free beings. Now they will learn what happens when you try to kill a species that would rather die than submit. She looked back at the map. We offered them peace. We offered them friendship. We came to them with open hands and they responded with chains. She pointed at the fury begins there. It will not end until every species understands that humans are not resources. We are not tools. We are not slaves. What are we then? Smiled. It was not a Pleasant smile, we are the consequence of their choices. Maria Santos had risen through the ranks of the resistance network. She was no longer a frightened mother hiding in basement. She was a coordinator, leader, one of the most important agents in the liberation movement. She worked as a household servant for a wealthy merchant. For 5 years she had cleaned his floors and served his meals and pretended to be broken, all while memorizing patrol schedules, security codes, and communication frequencies. Tonight she received the message she had been waiting for. 3 words appeared on a hidden device, no larger than a grain of rice. 3 words that meant everything. The storm comes. Maria destroyed the device immediately. Then she returned to her duties with the same empty expression she had worn for years. But inside her chest, her heart was racing. Liberation was coming, and she had work to do across the galaxy. Similar messages reached thousands of human agents in mines and factories and arenas and breeding facilities, in the homes of the wealthy and the compounds of the powerful. Everywhere humans had been scattered like seeds. The seeds were about to bloom back on Earth. Admiral stood on the bridge of her flagship. The vessel was called Remembrance. It was 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could crack planets. Around her 3,000 ships waited in formation. Their crews were silent, focused, ready. Open a channel. To all vessels ordered. A soft tone indicated the connection was active. This is Admiral. 5 years ago the galaxy voted to make us property. They took our families. They broke our world. They laughed at our suffering. She paused to let her words settle. Today we respond. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. We will not stop until every human is free, and every species that voted against us has paid the price. Her hands gripped the railing before her. Some of you may wonder if we have become monsters, if this revenge makes us no better than them. I will not lie to you. What we are about to do will haunt us forever, but our children are still in chains. Our families are still suffering, and the galaxy still believes it can do whatever it wants to species it considers weak. She straightened her spine. We will teach them otherwise. We will write our lesson in fire and ash. And when we are finished, no species will ever again look at another thinking being and see a slave. She took a deep breath. All ships engage. Cloaking systems set course for them. The stars outside shifted as the fleet began to move. The fury has begun. There was called Prime. It was a beautiful planet. Silver oceans reflected twin suns. Cities of crystal and metal covered every continent. 15 billion lived there in comfort and luxury, served by slaves from a 100 conquered species. They had no warning. The human fleet dropped out of faster than light travel in perfect formation around the planet. 3,000 ships appeared from nothing. One moment the orbital defense stations saw empty space. The next moment they saw death. Admiral gave no speeches. She made no demands. She simply gave one order: fire. The eraser cannons activated. Defense stations vanished. Military vessels ceased to exist. Satellites and drones and weapon platforms disappeared without a trace. On the surface, they barely had time to understand what was happening. The bombardment lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Prime was gone, not destroyed. Gone. Where a planet had existed, there was only empty space. 15 billion had been erased from the universe in the time it took to eat dinner. The galaxy received no explanation, no declaration. Of war, no demands. Just silence where it had been. For 3 days, no one knew what had happened. The Dominion sent investigation ships. Those ships vanished too. More ships were sent. They found nothing. No debris, no radiation, no sign that Prime had ever existed. Then the humans announced themselves. Admiral appeared on every communication channel in the galaxy. Her face was calm, her uniform was simple. Behind her the stars were cold and indifferent. This is Admiral of the human fleet. 5 years ago, you voted to enslave my species. Today we voted to respond. She held up a data tablet. On it was the recording of the original council vote. Every red light, every species that had said yes, the proposed are enslavement. They are gone. They're their colonies. Their ships, every in existence has been removed from the universe. She let that statement settle. This is not negotiable. This is not a threat. This is information. We are coming for everyone who voted yes. We will not stop until the list is complete. The transmission ended. Panic swept across the galaxy. The council called emergency session. Species accused each other of provoking the humans. Military fleets were mobilized. Defense networks were strengthened, but no one knew where the human fleet was. No one knew when they would strike next. They did not have to wait long. The collective was second on the list. They were the crystal beings who had told humanity to learn place. Their civilization spanned 12 worlds. In 1 week, all 12 worlds were gone. Then the syndicate, the bloated creature that had laughed at Ambassador and promised to treat her children as pets. Every world was erased. Every ship was hunted down. The entire species ceased to exist. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity moved through its list with methodical precision. Some species tried to fight. They gathered their fleets and waited for the humans, but the human ships were invisible. They struck without warning and disappeared without trace. No battle could be fought against an enemy you could not see. Some species tried to surrender. They broadcast their apologies across every channel. They offered to return all human slaves. They begged for mercy. The humans did not respond. Maria Santos led the liberation of the merchants' compound on the night of the first attack. She and her network of agents had planned this moment for years. Every guard post was known. Every lock code was memorized. Every patrol route was mapped. When the power went out across the district, Maria moved. She killed 7 guards with her bare hands. The skills she had learned in secret, the strength she had built through years of hard labor, the fury she had contained for 5 long years. All of it came together in moments of precise violence. The slave quarters were opened. 300 humans stumbled out, blinking in confusion. Many did not believe they were being rescued. Many thought it was a trick. My name is Maria Santos, she told them. Earth has come for you. We are going home. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human agents rose up in coordinated strikes. Slave facilities were emptied. Prisoners were gathered. Hidden ships arrived to carry them away. The operation was not perfect. Many humans died in the liberation. Many more were killed by panicking aliens before they could be reached, but millions were saved. Millions returned to human ships and wept with relief. On the bridge of the remembrance, Admiral received reports of. Each successful rescue, each name. Recovered, each family reunited. She also received reports of the destruction, species eliminated, worlds. Erased, civilizations ended, Admiral. Her aide said quietly, "We have now eliminated 200 species. Is it? Enough." Looked at the galaxy map. 647. Lights still remained. 647. Species that had voted yes, that had bought humans, that had treated her people as property when we started. This, she said slowly, I believed we would stop after 50, that the galaxy would understand, that they would change. She touched the screen where the once appeared, but I learned something. In the council chamber, these species do not see us as people, they never will. No matter how many we destroy, the survivors will just wait for us to grow weak again, then they will try again, so we destroy them all. Was silent for a long time. No, she finally said, we destroy enough that the survivors will never forget. We destroy enough that the lesson lasts forever. We destroy until fear becomes part of their very nature. She turned to face her aide, and then we stop. Not because they deserve mercy, but because we must remain human even now, even after everything. How many more? Looked back at the map. The lights of remaining civilizations seem to pulse with fear. We stop at 200. The galaxy has 847 species that voted against us. We erase 200. The remaining 647 will live with the memory of what happened. They will tell their children will tell their children, and no one will ever forget what happens when you try to enslave humanity. She straightened her shoulders. Continue the operation, prioritize species rescue, and when we reach 200. She paused. We will give them our terms. The great chamber of the galactic council was nearly empty, where 847 platforms once floated. Only 647 remained. The others had been removed. There was no one left to use them. Survivors gathered in terrified clusters. They no longer wore flowing robes or glittering metals. They wore plain garments and kept their eyes low. The confidence that had filled this chamber 5 years ago was gone. In its place was naked fear. Admiral stood on the central platform, the same platform where she had once begged for her people's freedom, the same platform where she had watched every light turn red against humanity. Now the remaining species watched her with the terror of prey animals facing a predator. I will speak once, she said. Her voice carried across the vast chamber without amplification. You will listen. No one moved, no one breath. Activated a holographic display. The original vote appeared above her head. 847. Red lights, the unanimous decision to enslave humanity. This is what you did, she said. Every species in this chamber voted to destroy everything my people were, our families, our freedom, our dignity. You did not hesitate, you did not debate, you simply agreed that humans were things to be owned. She let the image hang in the air. 200 of those species no longer exist. Their worlds are empty space. Their histories are forgotten. Their children will never be born. This is the consequence of your vote. A delegate began to weep. Its tears were silver and fell like rain from its many eyes. Others joined it. The sound of alien grief filled the chamber. Felt nothing. Every human taken during the harvest has been recovered or accounted for. Those who survived are returning to Earth. Those who died have been recorded, every name, every face, every story. We will remember them forever. She turned, slowly looking at each remaining species. Now I will tell you what happens next. The chamber went completely silent. You will not be destroyed. I considered it. I dreamed of it, but genocide is what you would have done to us, and we are not you. Some delegates sagged with relief, others remained frozen, waiting for the conditions. Instead, you will pay for 1,000 years. Every species in this chamber will provide service to humanity, not slavery. We do not believe in slavery, but service, reparations, acknowledgement of what you did. Pulled up a new display. It showed a detailed plan spanning centuries. You will provide resources to rebuild Earth. You will provide technology to advance human civilization. You will provide labor for projects of our choosing. Your citizens will work alongside humans as equals, but they will work. She zoomed in on a particular section. Every year on the anniversary of the vote, every species will send representatives to Earth. They will stand before a memorial containing the names of every human who died during the harvest. They will read those names aloud. They will acknowledge what their ancestors did. A delegate from the Republic raised a trembling appendage. And after 1,000 years, after 1,000 years, you will be free of your obligations, but you will never be free of the memory. You will teach your children what happened here. You will make certain that no species anywhere ever again considers enslaving a thinking being. Deactivated the display and stood in silence for a moment. Some of you may think this is too harsh, that your ancestors made the choice, not you, that you should not pay for their crimes. Her eyes hardened. I do not care. My mother died in a breeding facility on your world. My sister spent 4 years in a mine that collapsed and killed 3,000 humans. My nephew was sold to a collector who displayed him in a cage for entertainment. Her voice cracked slightly, then steadied. Every human who survived the harvest carries similar stories. We will live with those memories forever. So will you. She turned to leave, then stopped. One final condition. The concept of slavery is hereby forbidden. In galactic civilization, any species that attempts to enslave another for any reason will face immediate response from Earth. Not diplomacy, not warnings. Response. She looked back at the terrified delegates. The humans you dismissed as primitives now control weapons that can erase your worlds in seconds. We have ships you cannot see and technology you cannot match. We could destroy you all if we chose. She paused to let that truth settle. We choose not to, not because you deserve mercy, but because we refuse to become what you tried to make us. We refuse to lose our humanity, even after everything you took from us. She stepped off the platform and began to float toward the exit. The council is adjourned. Your representatives will report to Earth within 30 days to begin the reparation process. Any species that fails to comply will join the 200 that no longer exist. No one spoke as she left. Maria Santos stood on a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The underground cities were being opened now. Millions of humans were emerging into sunlight for the first time in years. They gathered on beaches and in meadows and on mountaintops, simply feeling the wind on their faces. Her daughter stood beside her, was 15. Now she had spent 5 years in an alien household cleaning floors and serving meals, but she had survived. She had come home, Mama said quietly. What happens now? Maria looked at the sky. Somewhere up there the fleet was maintaining watch, protecting Earth from any species foolish enough to seek revenge. Now we live, Maria said. We rebuild, we remember. Will they ever forgive us for what we did to them? Maria considered the question. The 200 species humanity had erased, the civilizations that no longer existed, the children who would never be born because of human fury. No, she said, finally, and we will not forgive them either, but we can move forward. We can build something new, something better. She put her arm around her daughter. The galaxy tried to break us. They treated us like animals. They thought we were weak because we were new. She smiled slightly. They learned different. On the beach below, children were playing in the waves. Humans who had been born in slave facilities and had never seen an ocean, they screamed with joy at the cold water and the warm sand. We are still human, Maria said. After everything, we are still human. That is what matters. Above them, the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. The galaxy stretched out in all directions, billions of worlds, trillions of beings, and among them, humanity had carved out its place. Through fury and fire, they had asked only to be left alone. The galaxy had chosen differently. The galaxy had paid the price. Now humanity would build its future among the stars, not as slaves, not as resources, not as harvest, as equals, as the species that had taught the universe a lesson written in the ashes of 200 civilizations. Never again would anyone look at a human and see something to be owned. Never again.